Duel is directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Dennis Weaver, and came out in 1971. This movie was the movie of the week on television. It was a made-for-TV movie, but it was so successful that it was actually shown in some theaters, and it helped launch the career of one of the best-known filmmakers of our time. Welcome to my Steven Spielberg series. I'm going to be covering a select few of his films leading up to Bridge of Spies next month, and unlike the past few classic movie reviews I've been doing, this is not going to contain spoilers because I feel that not enough people have actually seen this movie, so this is going to be a spoiler-free review. This film has a very simple story. A man is driving to a business meeting. He's in a very deserted area. There's not a lot of cars. There's not a lot of population. He passes an old rundown truck and doesn't think any more of it until he starts to notice this truck is getting closer and closer in his rearview mirror. And that sets off 90 minutes of one of the most intense and well-made chase films in history. When you consider those circumstances that Spielberg was given to make this film, I believe it was from ABC, in such a small time frame, in such a tight budget, what he was able to accomplish is mind-blowing. This movie still, to this day, holds up as an extremely well-made chase film because the entire thing is done in camera, and a great performance by Dennis Weaver, who is a very underrated actor. And in this film, he brilliantly captures the horror of being terrorized on the road, because if you've ever driven somewhere, perhaps late at night or in a very deserted area, and you notice you're being followed, there's automatically a paranoia that develops in you, or at least it does me, where I look in the rearview mirror and I'm like, that guy's been following me for a while. Also worth noting is Spielberg's incredible use of the truck as an antagonist. When you look at this thing, you see a monster. It almost looks like it has a face. In fact, Spielberg actually has said that he chose that truck because he thought its grille resembled a face. You actually feel like that thing is a character, and his wise choice to not reveal the face of the truck driver heightened the tension even more, because he feels like this faceless, all-powerful thing that can accomplish anything, and you buy into it. The first time I saw this film, I was very young. I was maybe like 11 or 12 years old, and I rented it from a local library. It was on VHS tape, of course, and I remember watching it thinking, okay, this could be cool. I don't remember if I actually knew it was Spielberg at the time. I think I had an idea that it was, but I was like, that's the guy who does Jaws and Indiana Jones, right? Okay, cool, let's watch this. And it blew me away as a little boy. Like, I was like, wow, that is really cool. And I made the ultimate mistake of showing it to my dad, who worked in the transportation business at the time and actually still does, because my dad took a lot of long drives in a truck, and I was like, my dad will like this, it'll be fun because he's a truck driver, yeah. And then afterwards he was so nerve-wracked and so tense, I felt bad, and he's never forgiven me for that experience, because this movie actually affected him that deeply, because it was like his line of work, a truck driver at the time, and watching this guy go through this incredibly intense situation with like every bit of fear and every possible road rage scenario being played out. And it was handled so well and so efficiently too. That's what's so great about this movie, because when you watch it now, it really doesn't feel like a TV movie. It feels as if Spielberg was directing for the big screen at the time. There are no obvious fade outs for commercial breaks. There are no obvious cuts like that. This feels 100% like a movie you'd see in theaters. And for a film that came out in 1971, it still holds up marvelously. It's a suspense-filled film that never lets up, truly, especially the fantastic cafe sequence that's sort of like the centerpiece of the second act. Dennis Weaver thinks that just for a second he escapes this guy, and he goes to this cafe. It's like the only place around that he can find. And he suddenly begins to realize that the truck driver just might be inside the cafe, and he starts to look around at all of the different people, and he begins to suspect that one of them is the driver. And the psychological battle that's going on in his mind throughout this sequence is so compelling. His eyes are peering back and forth at these people to try to decipher which one is the truck driver, and it's one of the best scenes in the film. In fact, it feels like its own little short movie. Like all great Spielberg films, this film builds and builds and builds. It's a film that immediately invests you almost instantaneously. You care about this character, the way Spielberg directs action, having our character in the screen while other things are happening around him, not even noticing that really long takes are occurring because of the way he situates the camera, allowing things to move in and out of the frame. More suspense and more tension just keeps piling and piling to an incredible finale, which, as I said, I won't spoil, where you just feel this adrenaline of the moment. You can truly feel it through the film, and that is just, it's so remarkable for the limitations he had on him, the amount of time the network gave him to film this movie, and for the fact that it's a television movie from 1971. I mean, even today, in 2015, TV movies do not get respect at all, because the large majority of them really do suck, and it's just like an excuse for networks to find more advertisements to pile on in various commercials. Spielberg took what ABC may have been planning and turned it into one of the best chase films ever made, and it still holds up today. Guys, if you've never seen Duel, I strongly suggest it. I didn't want to get into spoilers because I know a lot of people actually have not seen this film, and so I wanted to make sure you guys got a chance to see the movie without really knowing much about it. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to give Duel an A. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I'm going to be returning very soon with another review for a Spielberg movie, and it's for a movie I've wanted to talk about for a long time, Hook. Can't wait to give you my opinion on that movie, guys. That's going to be very soon. Thank you so much as always once again, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.